Goblins are afraid of death for a very specific reason. Hey there, I'm Ron from Dungeon Noob, and today I'm talking about what really happens to goblins in life and in death, and how you can use it at your table. Let's roll for knowledge. So as we all know, goblins will charge straight into a fight they're going to lose. But if you corner one, it becomes a coward. Now, it seems like these two things sound like they can't be true, running into a fight and being afraid. But they are, and it comes down to where a goblin goes when it dies. But we first need to talk about where goblins come from, because the answer recently changed, and a lot of players missed it. You see, long before they were the monsters we see today, they lived in the Feywild, and they served an archfey named the Queen of Air and Darkness. Now, it's really interesting because that's where their abilities come from. Goblins are good at exploiting the weak spots in enemies that are larger than them, and they have nimble escape, which helps them get out of trouble. Those aren't things that they picked up while surviving in the wild. Those are gifts from the archfey they served. Now, as I said, this origin is new. Goblins were once classified as humanoids, but in the 2022 Monsters of the Multiverse book and the 2024 Monster Manual, they're now Fey creatures. Now, arguably, this reclassification makes total sense given their lore and history, so here's what happened to them. So a god named Moob conquered goblins and destroyed their old gods. After the war, he drove goblins out of the Feywild and marched them into his own realm on a plane called Acheron. And then from there, they spread across the multiverse, and that's how they ended up on the material plane. Since then, they've been bullying anything smaller than them and pestering low-level adventurers ever since. So remember that order because it really matters here. They were first in the Feywild, then Acheron, then the material plane. Now, here's where things get really, really dark. And this has been part of canon since the 1980s. When a goblin dies proving itself in battle, it doesn't just move to paradise to rest for eternity. No, its soul is literally drafted. It goes back to Acheron, and it joins something called the Army of Immortals. And that army has one job forever. Moob marches his goblins against the orc gods in a war that never ends. There is no peaceful afterlife for a goblin. Just the next battle, then the next one, and the next one, forever. And it's far worse than just an endless war, if that's not bad enough, because the engine of this war is death. Moob priests sacrifice souls to him. He consumes that soul energy and burns it to fuel the fight. So the whole thing is fed by killing. More death, more war. It's a stark afterlife existence. So imagine for a second that's your fate. You live a short, hard life as one of the weakest creatures in the realm, and the reward for dying is another endless war on another plane, fighting, dying, and reforming to fight again and again forever. Now listen, I'm not telling you to feel sorry for goblins, but once you understand this lore and all the fear they have inside, the goblin gets more interesting to run. Okay, so now that we have some of that lore under our belts and we know more about goblin history, here's how you can use it at your table. And for these are just the skeleton of an idea. You determine where they fit into your campaign and all the details. So let's start with the one that I call the Outcast Goblin. Now for this one, you can have the party capture a goblin that's part of a band of goblins, but you notice that it hides during the fight. Or maybe you stumble on a goblin that's living by itself with no warren. A warren is simply a clan of goblins. Now the concept is that the goblin doesn't want to fight because it fears death. It knows exactly what's waiting for it on the other side, and it's terrified of it. This goblin wants to escape whatever hell is waiting for it after death, so it asks for the party's help. It wants to break the bond between its soul and Moob. Maybe there's a talisman that can cut the tie. Maybe there's a powerful cleric who can cleanse the soul and break the bond. You decide what it costs the goblin and the party, and decide how it connects to the rest of your campaign. It makes it interesting because will the players help? Will they ignore or even kill the goblin? This is where you can put a goblin in your campaign that's not just a generic random encounter. It's a goblin with a face, a name, emotions, a backstory, and a quest to truly help. Okay, now the second idea is a little bit more involved, so stick with me. It's letting your players discover this lore. The party's moving through goblin territory and finds a crude-looking shrine. It's really nothing to look at. But if someone can read Goblin, they realize it isn't a war altar or a altar to a god, it's a prayer to be kept out of Acheron, a plea not to be drafted into Magubliet's army when they die. The shrine is hiding something. Maybe there's a riddle or a sequence or a set of marks that have to be read in a certain order, and by solving it, it reveals a hidden door. The party goes down and finds the warren that built the shrine, living underground. Now here's the fun part. The party comes into the goblin's den ready for a fight, right? I mean, after all, it's a bunch of goblins. But as the DM, you give your players signals that these goblins are a little different. Maybe there are no raiding trophies or heads on poles, no captives, no war banners. It's just a small community of goblins. And inscribed on the cave walls is the same prayer that was on the altar. So give the players the clues and let your players make the call. They attack or they can lower their weapons and find out that these goblins are hiding from their own god, praying that they escape Magubliet's battle. And if the party listens, the warren makes a plea for help. They think that they found a way to break the tie to Magubliet, and that right there makes them a target. Then the party learns there's another warren hunting them down, and they've actually kidnapped one of the other goblins from the peaceful goblin warren that your players are standing in right now. The warren wants the party to find their missing member and get him back before the hunters kill him, because if they kill him, he goes straight to Magubliet's army forever. Whether the cure is even real is your call as a DM, but they believe it, and that belief is what puts a target on them. So now your players are running a rescue mission for one goblin warren against another warren. The goal is to protect a handful of creatures trying to dodge a horrific afterlife. So what I like about this encounter is that you're teaching your players goblin lore, and you're giving them an emotional and interesting quest. So take this goblin lore and use and adapt one of my ideas or craft your own. And in the comments down below, give me some of your ideas. How could you integrate this lore into your campaign? Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Oh, and if you wanted to know what I rolled at the beginning of this video, I rolled a 7. So drop the number 7 in the comments so I know you made it all the way to the end. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.